Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I wanted to do a quick review on New York Ninja. Just a little backstory. New York Ninja is a movie that was filmed years ago. I believe it was 84, but I could be wrong on that date. And the movie wasn't completely finished, and it was filmed without audio, and I don't think it was edited. So Vinegar Syndrome acquired it recently and overdubbed. They got a lip reader. And this sounds crazy, they got a lip reader, and they, I think, got most of the lines from the film via that method, and then got famous B-movie and movie stars to overdub the voices in the film. And then they edited it together, kind of, I don't know if they made their own story or changed it a bit, and finished this movie. And that's how New York Ninja came to be in 2021. Some of the voice actors are very popular people like Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes, Linnea Quigley, Don the Dragon Wilson is the main character, John Liu. So it's just a very interesting idea. I don't know of anything like it. I guess, you know, with old martial arts movies you would hear overdubbing, but I don't know if they've ever assembled such a cast for something like this and had a movie without audio. So very interesting nonetheless. The movie starts out with John Liu, and I think that's his real name as well, but he is living in the city with his wife, and there's this strange interaction where she tells him she's pregnant, and his response is happy, but it's not necessarily the response you would have finding out your wife is pregnant. But it's got like a goofy charm to it, and it's fun. Moments later, and I'm not spoiling too much because it's kind of the tagline and the synopsis of the film, moments later, she sees a woman getting dragged off in broad daylight. No one's stopping this, by the way. It was very odd, by this gang. And she picks up the woman's purse that she drops and goes to give it to her. And they grab her too. And then they slice her throat and throw a knife at her. And she falls down the stairs of the subway and dies. Pretty graphic, not like anything overly special effects, not like her neck opened up or anything, but you know, sort of graphic quickly, more than you would, I guess, expect from a movie like this. And that's how the story kicks off. He is now looking for revenge for those who murdered his wife and child, and he becomes the New York Ninja. It sounds way more fun than it really is. And once you get past, and I'm sorry to say this, once you get past the, I don't want to use the word novelty, but the interesting concept that the voices are overdubbed by other people. Matt Mittler's voice is in this too, from Battle for the Lost Planet and Mutant War, which I found intriguing. Once you get past that, the movie is very dull. It's little, like, I don't want to say montages, but of the New York Ninja training. Then there's just set pieces of him fighting groups of gangs throughout the film, going after this, like, kingpin. And I guess he's trying to take out all the gangs, and then at the end, take out the kingpin. Because he feels all these people are ruining New York and ruining society, and that's what happened to his wife. So it's an interesting concept, but it doesn't even touch Samurai Cop, does not touch Miami Connection at all in terms of the funny one-liners and the cheesy dialogue and the strange happenings. So I will say what I did find interesting is the bad guys. I guess this was shot in some sort of, I've read this or heard this, guerrilla fashion where they probably didn't have a lot of money and were not filming with a license or a permit or whatever. So all the bad guys, I think, are either the same people or whatever, but to distinguish them being different for each shot, they did strange things to them. So it almost looks like he's fighting the Village People, the band, because one guy has bloody gauze pads on his face, one guy has a mask on, one guy has a cowboy hat, one guy has a fencing helmet. Every outlandish thing you can think of that's like a normalcy in your house, they have put on these bad guys to make them different while the main character is fighting them. So I don't know if it's the same actors, but it's just funny that every group of villains he fights is dressed up in like Halloween garb almost, in terms of one guy's wearing like a football helmet, and you're like, why? So then there's a group with just stockings over their head. So that was pretty humorous. But a lot of it is him, who is an actual martial artist and supposedly very, very talented, fighting this group of people, funny-looking people with their outfits, and they're standing still while he beats the crap out of one, that guy falls down, and then the other one comes at him, which is completely not believable, because I would presume if you're in some fight with a gang, all of them are going to kind of rush you at once. And in all these instances, he's fighting these gangs, and they're all just standing there like this, waiting for their opening, and then the next person goes once the last person falls. So the fight scenes are okay, but they're not as fun or over the top as you'd expect them to be because of that. And the humor isn't really there. The story or the dialogue or anything isn't outlandish or fun enough to warrant this movie like getting a cult status the way like Miami Connection did. I know I brought that up earlier. It's okay. It's I don't know if it's a pacing thing or just a not fun thing, but it's the beginning's sort of goofy and you're like, wow, this could be really fun and interesting. And then the middle just drags out with him fighting these random gang members with outlandish or silly outfits, I should say. And that's it. Then he fights the other guys at the end and the movie ends. And nothing over the top really happens except the beginning of the film. So I didn't love New York Ninja. It wasn't what I wanted it or what I expected it to be. It was decent, but it was definitely on the boring side, and it just felt like any kind of humdrum martial arts movie. Another cool thing is it's in New York, so I'm from New York. I've been to Manhattan a bunch of times, and it's cool to see New York in the 80s, Manhattan in the 80s, and the buildings and the architecture and the little streets and the subway. So like I like stuff like that. But overall, if you're not from New York and you can't stay with the fact that the whole movie's overdubbed, which is amazing, it's just there's not much meat there. At the end of the film it says, and next the ninja will go to LA. So I guess they expected to make a sequel, which they never did. But that's neither here nor there. I would kind of give the movie maybe a 5 out of 10. It's not horrific. It's watchable. It's just flat. So I'm sorry to be negative. I know, most of the time I try to be positive on this channel, and I did point out some of the positives of the film that I enjoyed, but it's just not as over the top or crazy as I felt it could have or should have been. But I guess that's hard to do when you take a movie that you're not filming now. You're taking a movie that's been filmed that you're trying to fit your stuff around. So let me know, guys, if you've seen New York Ninja, what you thought of it. Thought it was okay. And if you do watch it, let me know what you think. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.